Okay, I am late, but let's keep in mind the rules. Let's all get on board together before we start thinking. No plus wall. Okay, that's not going to be that big impact. As I recall, the rule set doesn't allow sevens. Um, Sixes are limited, and so if there are only two sixes allowed per side and a limit on five fives, not much options are left. I know Stuff was expecting people to run five six fives, uh, but it's level two. It's not level three. Okay, so that's not the case. Okay, I should have checked the rule set. All right. I guess I'm just not gonna try to get combobulated on other things I was catching up on, and instead we'll just talk about the game. Stuff and Seto, sorry, Akiyama and Seto are of course both very interesting players who play styles that I tend not to. And we already have in this game what Turds calls the knight setup, because the pieces are a knight's move away from each other, a chess knight's move, where the card in 3 is a knight's move away from the card in 4, which is a knight's move away from the card in 9. This is a rare and extremely complex setup. I remember Akiyama and Seto played a game in it in their semifinals match of, I want to say, Triad Wars 14, and Seto was basically all but dead in it, and he found one of the most brilliant saves I've ever seen, where he played a card in 1, allowing Akiyama to take it from 2, just to place a card in 7, getting rid of, as I recall, just enough of Akiyama's left power that he could go in 7. But you might think like he was building a wall with 7 and 4. He wasn't even doing that. It was a card Akiyama could take. It wasn't safe, it wasn't locking stuff in, and somehow he held that endgame and saw it. Just absolutely brilliant. And really well played by Akiyama to get that pressure. Now, when you see moves in 5 here, that usually means the second turn player is behind. And I could see Seto being in a lot of trouble here because 2553 is going to dominate. So, like, assuming the normal move from Akiyama of 6253 and 6, taking the T, he has two really good sweepers for this endgame. 2625 can take anything placed on the board except for exactly 5541 and 7. But if that happens, it will at least, potentially flip other things. And 2553 is going to absolutely dominate the top. However, Seto might be being a mad genius because 6253 and 6 doesn't flip 5, but Seto may be able to force the flip of 5 later. And so I could see some idea where Akiyama plays in 6 and Seto plays something like 2365 and 2, where if Akiyama wants to take combo it with 2553, that chains through 5, Seto can combo back through 5, and that will flip 6, which will flip, everything basically. Um, Now, Akiyama could meet 2 with 2625 and 1, flipping 2, but not comboing through. And then Akiyama would have cards in 1, 2, 6, and 9 with a card in hand. But the crazy thing there is Seto has either 5541 or 2625 and 7, and 2553 can't take it. So this is a extremely creative idea, an extremely rare move in this kind of position, especially because 6 can happen without flipping 5. But he's, I think, trying to force the flip later. And I think the order has to be 2 and then 8, because when you combo an 8, um, I guess maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, really creative idea. Normally, when I see a move in 5 here, I assume the player was very unhappy with their position. This is not something I can safely assume with the players here. Now, yeah, 2553 being randomly dead in 8 is so weird in all variations here. Anything Seto plays in 2 can be comboed from 1, but it almost never matters. Does Seto have 6? Sort of. What if Akiyama should block 8? Is that crazy? That might be crazy. Something like 2625 and 8? if Seto goes 6, Akiyama can go 6-2-5-3 and 7, and 3-5-5-2 is sufficient sweeper. Though I think that's only a tie anyway. And if Seto doesn't, if Seto doesn't go 7, you go there. If Seto does go 7, you can then go for 6, but that might just lose because they play 5-5-4-1 and 2. Wow. I think Roman gold coin in 6 is probably the main move. I think it ties, not loses, but it feels like a position where Akiyama should have something because I don't trust this move to work, but I don't see why it doesn't. I think this is a really cool move. Yeah. Seto is, as always, a just remarkable player. And like I really think there's so many options here for Akiyama. The knight position is such a complex type of structure, which is one of the reasons I don't play it much because I tend to go for clarity. And then this is just about the most complex move you can make. So there's only 5 moves left, which is outside of human full calculation range, presuming not like some super savant calculating powers, which I certainly don't have. But it is the range where if you find the key starting move or the key starting ideas, you can calculate out the rest. So it's that moment where if your intuition and calculation combine, you can understand every important line, but you will not have time to understand every line. So you have to do that winnowing, that narrowing of the path. And in this kind of position, it's so hard to do so. And so, like, it's no wonder Akiyama is using his full time. He is a very fast player, but this is a remarkable position. Um, I could see blocking 8. I could see blocking 6. I don't think you want to block 2. You'd rather Seto hits you in 2 than hits you in 8. But I could see 1 or 7 being played. Like, have we ruled out 2, 6, 2, 5, and 1? I think I have, because I think 2-5-5-3 is a little too dead on the bottom. You don't sweep down there well enough. But you're not really putting up a minus too often there. It's probably a tie. Probably a tie. So it's not like a bad move, but man, what a weird position. I gotta start not checking it with the solver because I do not want to know, but just being ready to look for when the game is done because I think this game was pretty crazy. Now, you're always going to think a game is a little crazier if you come in late, or there's always the chance you will, because especially into a complex position, because you won't have had the time to like think about what's going on and accommodate yourself to the cards. So in some order, Akiyama played 3-2-5-4 and 5-3-2-5. Seto played 4-2-2-5 and 5-3 and 1-4-5-5. And Akiyama has 6-2-5-3, 2-5-5-3, and 2-6-2-5 left. Seto has 5-5-4-1, 2-6-2-5, 2-3-6-5. Both the players are currently styling on me, we can all agree. He does go for 2-6-2-5 and 1, so I think he bailed out. Maybe he saw something worse in 6 than I did. But even if you think 6 is a tie, maybe it's just too scary to go in for, and if you see a safer tie, you play that. And this was the move I had also kind of thought, if you just need a tie here. But I really think you're looking for a win here. And so bailing out to a tie maybe feels a little bad, but also, I mean, maybe you're just not looking for a win. This move is maybe just crazy good. Oh man. Was their first game anything like this? So I missed the first game. I haven't, re-established where we are yet. But if I pop open Discord and I go to the 2625 and 2 is played. Oh, I should get my database open as well. Oh, we can put that in later. Who cares? This game will be saved. And we go to TTAC tournament. Just see what did the prior round look like. Did they play another crazy move order or was it a normal one? The first game was 9, 6, 3, 8, 7, 2, 1, 4, 5. Okay. Little unusual to leave the center open so long in that kind of position, but there's a chance. I mean, there's a chance that was crazy as well, but there's a very good chance it wasn't. Yeah, so they're playing out, I think, the conventional tie from here. So I'm going to start putting it into the solver because I'm curious. So I'm assuming 3254 in 3 was the starter. And Seto doesn't have a capture on that, so he plays 4225 and 9, setting up the capture. And Akiyama goes in 4, leading to chaos. And just making sure that there was nothing big missed before that, so we'll have it running on the prior moves. But it says after the move in 4, there were 5 ties. And almost all of them involved the card 1455, and that 5 was in fact a tie. And there are only 2 ties for Akiyama here. One is the move in 6, and one is the other one the move in 1 that he played? The other is the move in 1 that he played. Yeah, man, what a crazy game. Great job by Seto. Putting pressure here. But actually, I think the position after 4 was, just because there are only 5 ties there, fairly dangerous for Seto as well. But one thing that comes to mind, just because I've watched a lengthy match between these two before in a major tournament, is I came into the match thinking Seto was clear favorite, and I left it. Coming into the final games, I was sort of thinking, I think Akiyama has had the edge in these games. And so keeping an eye out, I think, between these two, I think depending on the rule set and who happens to get a grasp on it, who has the advantage can swing. They're both superb players, and they are both very complicated players who will happily enter extremely complicated positions like this one. Is seeing who's navigating them better, even if they haven't won, can be a useful indicator. But man, that was nuts. What a game. All right, I think we got to keep that its own singular video rather than muck it up with others, because that was a very fun position to try to calculate. You do not get that structure much, because if you have the knight setup, going in 5, I think, is in like practical play the least commonly played move. If you have a 1-5 type setup where someone then plays an adjacent corner rather than the far corner, playing in sort of the T square far away is quite rare as well. I don't think there's any position after 3 moves where this isn't one of the, if not the outright most uncommon square to be played to lead to this setup. I mean, I'm sure there's rarer setups after 4 moves, but it's kind of hard to think of one. Maybe like 2-4-6-8 that never really actually happens, or I don't know, like 1-2-6-7 or 1-2-6-8. Those might be rarer. But this was like sound and good, and easily one of the most obscure ways of playing, and made sense for both of them. What a cool game! All right, I'm excited to catch more of this. That was a very cool game.